This is my 1994 Mazda Miata. It's now 25 years old, and as you can see, it looks pretty much like new, even though it has over 86,000 miles on it now. I've owned this Miata for over 20 years now, and it's the best car I've ever owned. I also have a car to use during the winter and for shopping, of course. But this car, I put about 1,500 to 2,000 miles a year on it for the past 20 years. And it's a lot of fun to drive every time I take it out. So this is just a quick tour of the car so you could see all about it, what it looks like. You could see the front end with the headlights that retract. I prefer this style to the next generation, which has the headlights which stays up in the front there. I prefer this original style. But the best style, I think, is the current Mazda Miatas, which came out beginning in 2016. I think that's the best design so far. But this car has been great for me. You could see what good shape it is. I baby it all the time. I wash it with a sponge every time. It might get a little wet or something. And of course, it never goes out in the winter months. But you could see what good shape it's in. I just bought these 4 new tires a few months ago, and they were about $270 total, I believe. So given that their tires are small, they're inexpensive compared to the newer tires on the SUVs. And this is what the back of the car looks like. And now we'll look at the interior, which I like a lot. It's a 5-speed manual transmission, which I would recommend for anybody who gets a sports car, just to get the manual transmission. It's a lot more fun. You could see it has the speedometer, the gauge with the RPMs, and the gauge for the heating or cooling of the engine, and the fuel gauge, and then the oil temperature gauge. You could see all that right in here. And I love using this Mp3 Music Player, which I just plug into the power outlet. It has, I've had that for about 9 years now, and it's very reliable, that Mp3 player. And here's a storage area, and I like the cup holders here. I always use 1 cup of water when I go for a ride, or bring 1 cup. Here are the seats, which are cloth seats, but I actually prefer these to the leather seats because the leather seats, I think, get too warm in the summer months, and I also don't like the way you slide around in them. So for me, I prefer the cloth seats over leather seats in any car. The top is great. You could put it up and down in less than 1 minute manually, but that's good because I checked into the BMW Z4s, and the electronics to put the top up and down constantly break down because they get wet because it's poorly designed. But anyway, you don't have to deal with electronic controls that would break in this car. So I highly recommend these Mazda Miatas. This 1994, they have 133 horsepower, and they weigh about 2,200 pounds. But that's a good thing that they're so light, because that makes them nimble and fun to drive because they're so light. They go 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. So I'm very pleased with this car. I've owned it, as I said, for over 20 years, and I plan to keep it for the rest of my life because it's just such a great car. And now it's kind of part of the family, and I've owned it for over 20 years. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, I'll make another one of my winter cars someday. And maybe my new electric bicycle. Ciao.